Welcome to 108 Gate. We are doing the Divine Feminine reading. A lot of energies shifting around, a lot of energies reformatting, should we say. This is with the understanding that the default needs to be changed, the default needs to be different. Very important. So this is take 3, just to give you an idea of default changing. So astrologically, we've got Sun 19 degrees Capricorn, Moon 5 degrees Capricorn, Mars 4 degrees Capricorn, and Pluto 29 degrees Capricorn. There is a lot of Capricorn energy. So the Moon and Mars being at the beginning part, decan, the first decan of Capricorn. Really going into that shifting of things and moving of things. The Sun illuminating in the middle towards the last decan, and then Pluto in the last decan of Capricorn. Really does feel like it's not waiting for anything anymore. Well, it wouldn't, but it's really bringing some kind of urgency, or more appropriately, it's bringing in that energy of it's now. It's now or never. It's now, or you're just going to have to deal with the consequences. So really, the focus seems to be on that changing of your default, changing of your default position, changing on your default response to things. Communication. Right, here we go. When we're communicating about certain things, I think this is an inner dialogue. It feels like an inner dialogue. When you have communicated to yourself about certain things, certain people, scenarios, situations, and you have expected a particular outcome, or you've been working towards a particular outcome, it feels like the grasp of that outcome needs to be released. Because where we've been in a different space in our mind, different space in our energy field, and we've accumulated a particular outcome in our mind, in our expectations, there's certain aspects of those outcomes that are not fitting anymore. They're not suiting where you're heading. Really feel into this. If it doesn't resonate, let it go. Like, it is a general reading. If it is resonating, I do have the email in the box below if you wanted a reading or Reiki, whatever. So the enthusiasm now is going to come from these shifts and changes happening, because with Mars at the early decan, 4 degrees Capricorn, it's allowing for these shifts and changes to happen. And it's not just that it's at the beginning and that's what's happening, it's just that Mars, with such a loaded house right now, the impact of this, and it really does feel prominent that Pluto's coming to the end of the last decan. So all of them is literally like a really fast, responsive reaction to what Pluto has been doing for so long. So for an example, as an example, you have a new build. You have a new house being built, or whatever it is. You have to go through the process of the planning being drawn up. You have to do make sure the checks are done, and then this and that, and the foundation and blah blah. But then the actual core of the house, the foundation of the house is built. The walls are erected. The roof is on. Everything's there. It's now a shell to be decorated. Sorry. So the decorating of the place may actually, well, depending on who you are, it doesn't take possibly as long. It might seem like a really fast kind of conclusion to the process, because the biggest part was actually getting the house up, depending on which country you're in as well. But now those other things, the finer details of like this going here and this going there, and whatever it is you're working at, the feng shui, it doesn't seem as laborious. It doesn't seem as fixed. There's some flexibility in that part, but the initial point you have to make sure that you're building on a particular foundation. You have to make sure you have your supporting walls, your supporting beams, and all those things in the correct place for the house to actually withstand certain things, the weather and that and the other, for a certain period of time, for a long period of time. So the initial process takes longer to set up than the actual finishing process. Even when you're living in the house, you can be making certain changes, then it's okay. But it's that initial default position that the house is the house where it's at, with the particular beams, with the particular foundation. That's where the energy needs to, the work has been done over this time where Pluto is going through Capricorn. So your hierarchies, your structures and all that stuff were kind of like having a rejig. You're rebuilding in a different way. So now it feels like with Mars galloping through Capricorn, in comparison to the speed at which Pluto was going, things are shifting fast. Things can shift fast if you allow it to. And these pockets of this changing, this changing, this changing, it's dependent on how you're communicating about things. You can't, like, if you're fixed in a particular outcome, it's going to be more difficult for certain changes to happen because we're coming from a different default. We're coming from a different foundation. Foundations have shifted and changed. Now it's letting those shifts and changes be known, be revealed, so we can have a new gusto of enthusiasm. We can have a new wave of enthusiasm, and the more we feel into that enthusiasm, and the more we feel into the new ways of things happening and panning out, the enthusiasm is going to increase and increase because you're seeing evidence now of things actually shifting and changing. Where, when, how, that's all on you. It depends on how open you're being to it, how you're doing it. So protection's coming in, is having that sense of protection, knowing you're protected, feeling you're protected, trusting you're protected. This isn't about being protected by someone else. This isn't about you protecting someone else. It's about everything being protected. Is it protected or not? Have you let someone come through the back door and not allowed them, like, do you know what I mean? Kind of like let yourself be vulnerable in a place and a time in a way that you shouldn't have allowed that to happen. So this protection isn't coming in as you are protected, therefore take everything for granted. This is, you are protected as long as you allow yourself to be protected. If you put your at some point in the past you allowed your guard to come down and allowed in the enemy, so to speak, just as a term, I don't really want to say that, but that's what's coming in. If you allowed in a lower frequency influence, you allowed in somebody who was trying to limit you and restrict you, you allowed in someone who's not pulling their weight, you allowed in someone who's just pulling you down, limiting you, and again restricting you. What was that about? How did that work to your favour with regarding protection? How did you feel protected in that way? Did you come in or let them come in with a false sense of protection? So they were saying all the correct things, doing all the correct things to a certain point, and then you see, actually, I need to protect myself from this. Where in the initial stages of it, you actually thought that they were protecting you from something. Default. Your default was different now, so your foundation wasn't as solid. Now changing your default, so when you see you're protected, you feel you're protected, you're actually protected. Not just someone saying, I'm here to protect you. Not just someone behaving as though I'm here to protect you, but actually being underhand, behind your back. Right, let's move on, because that was quite intense. We are doing the Divine Feminine reading, so... Okay, justice coming in, right. It feels very decisive, it feels very plain to see kind of thing, but at the same time it's not plain to see, because when you're in the old default position, you can't see, you want to trust someone saying, I'll look after you, I'll do this, I'll help you with this, I'll help you with that, and actually mean it. Words can be cheap. Words can be empty. Wow. Here we go. Like I said, the default position is changing and shifting. When we have a grasp on a particular outcome, you're not helping yourself to have a new default come in. You want to let go of the outcome. You want to let go of how is it going to be coming about. You want to let go of who is it going to come about with, because it feels like some are kind of focused on the wrong... It just feels like the focus is in the wrong direction. It needs to be shifted and changed. Not for me to decide. It's for you to... if it resonates, where does it resonate? If it doesn't resonate, let it go. This is... And I'm saying it, and I might say it a few more times, because I'm really feeling... This is a really strong, powerful energy. So I won't be surprised if it doesn't resonate for most. But there are... going to be people that it is resonating for. Right, this feels like there's 3 or 4 cards here. Fool. Stepping into a sense of justice. This isn't about you seeking justice or justice seeking you. This is about you being ready to allow justice to come in, to allow justice to be shown where it needs to be, where it's required to be. So protection. If you have someone saying, I'm going to protect you, I'm going to do this for you, I'm going to do that for you, and then come to you with... It's not even that they're mean to initially, it's just that they have some underhand kind of ulterior motive. And it's not just one either. It may even be a pattern that you attract certain people that just... They say one thing, but they do another. You have good intentions, and they see that good intention. They're just like, you know what, just pacify them by saying, I'll do this, I'll do that, but then not coming through, not pulling through. Therefore, there's certain parts of your foundation before which were not secure. They're not built on a solid foundation. They're not sustainable over a long period of time. There's faults and cracks and all these different things that you literally like, I can't do this. You're seeing you can't do this. So now, finding a different way of communicating about those things, because we may be giving people the benefit of the doubt of like, oh, she didn't know about this. Well, she didn't know about that. Well, she was going through this and she was going through that. That's nothing to do with you in your foundation. That's somebody else's issue, somebody else's problem, somebody else's thing that was happening. Yes, you can be of support and say supportive things, but for you to now compromise your foundation, compromise what you're working on because you want to give someone else the benefit of the doubt or because they were going through something, that doesn't even make sense. So now, protection. You are the one who has to protect yourself. You are the one who has to make sure that you are putting in place all those things that actually do protect you. They alert you when things are not feeling correct, when things are feeling off. They so your inner communication, it does feel like there's a lot of inner dialogue. When I did the first part of it, it did feel like there's an inner dialogue that you communicate with yourself. So most of those things that you may have communicated with someone else first. Communicating some things to other people, it weakens you. I'm not saying you shouldn't talk to other people. I'm saying there's certain things that you have to have that conversation with yourself first, because if someone else is coming from a different perspective and it's like a slightly better perspective than theirs, or it's a slightly better situation or scenario than theirs, and then someone says, well, you should be grateful for what you've got, you should be grateful for this and that and the other. So they limit and restrict you, not intentionally, but their perspective is limited and restricted. Therefore, indirectly, the default thing is to limit and restrict yourself, because you're going to their suggestion of, well, you should be happy with that and just satisfied with that and then stick to that. You know better, so communicate with yourself. Let that enthusiasm start sparking. Let it start popping again. It really feels like little firecrackers, kind of like boom, 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 in a celebratory way, because your mind now is like, hang on a second. When I had that conversation, their response was this, therefore I need to be actually doing this for myself, doing it in this way at this time, because that's their version of it. That's not what my version of it is. Hence the tower here, breaking free of those limitations and restrictions. And entangled in other people's limitations, restrictions is just not as good as well, because it's there's this pattern, like being stuck on someone else's I was going to say gerbil wheel. It's not a gerbil wheel, it's a hamster wheel. It's stuck on someone else's hamster wheel, and they just keep going round and round and round. They're in denial, and I can feel anger coming in. I don't know who's angry right now. I don't know if you're angry at me saying these things, but it is what it is. Then just switch off. or acknowledge the anger. Communication. So there's like a hamster wheel, and you're jumping onto someone else's hamster wheel, and they're just going in that circle, and it's like, well, where are you actually going? It's like, well, I'll keep going, but where are you going? I'll just keep going. They have no intention to do anything. They have no actual plan. They have no actual direction, and they're just going on this hamster wheel. Get off someone else's hamster wheel and get into your own path. Get onto your own path. Get involved with your own path. Even though you're on your own path, make sure you're even more so on your own path. And then all those past incidences or past times that you're on someone else's hamster wheel with their limited perspective, their restricted perspective, it has to be shifted and it has to be knocked out, because it's like it's got a string on it and it's a hook on it, and it's just keeping you stopped. Even the wheel is being stopped from going. So if you put a hook on it and you kind of lock it, it can't go. So the hamster's still trying to go around, but the wheel's been stopped. You need to get a new perspective. So the tower, let those things go. Get off the wheel. I hope that makes sense, because I'm saying it and I don't quite... I'm seeing the visions and images, but not quite understanding it right. Four of Cups, with that cup elevated. Tower. When you're seeing from the limited and restricted perspective, you can't see that cup, because you're if you think about, your vision can only go so far, it can only turn so far, it can only look so far. You haven't even looked 360 and up and down and all that stuff yet, because you've been in that one hamster wheel. Get off the hamster wheel and have a good look around. There's so much prosperity and love and genuine, sincere protection available. Receive. For those of you who are resonating and you're ready for this next step, you're ready for this next split. It is a big split. The tower's right there. It is a big split. You're going into unknown territory. It is a big split. You've got justice coming in. Justice coming in means you're going to have to be harsh on some level with some people. Just stay on your own path. Focus on your path and don't get distracted. And there are so many distractions around. There were more so before. It feels like there's a lot of you just like, right, focus. It keeps pulling. Oh. Right, let's keep going. Right. So this is a process. It hasn't, it may have started, it may be that you're in the process of it now. So there's something like King of Swords upside down. He keeps coming in upside down, and we're all good. I've checked. King of Swords upside down. So it's coming in because there's certain things you haven't acknowledged yet. You haven't communicated to yourself about these things yet. Communication, enthusiasm. Go to the enthusiastic space. When you feel that nugget or that spark of enthusiasm, go in that direction, and then more will be revealed. When you're going with that, making sure that you're having healthy boundaries around it, making sure you're protecting yourself as you go into that enthusiastic space. Because as you are enveloping, and the enthusiasm is enveloping you, the tower is going to have things just falling off around you. Split, split, split. It isn't just one or two. It's going to be lots. Mars going through Capricorn right now. It literally feels like it's not going to be judging anything. It's not going to be assessing anything. It's literally, if this is too heavy and it's not mine, gone. If this is too heavy and it's not mine, gone. If this is too heavy and it's not mine, gone. Why is this here? Gone. It's got to make sense as to why it's there. It's got to be a part of the plan for the future. It's going to be part of where you are now and where you're heading. Otherwise, it's just going to split off. If you're holding on to it, it's going to hurt. If you're trying to bring it back in, you're going to feel discomfort. Emotional discomfort, physical discomfort. You're going to feel frustrated, annoyed. You can't grasp. Interesting things are coming up. Okay. We go towards what you love and keep that Ace of Cups like now is filled with love. Like I said, the more you're going towards what that is correct for you, the more you're actually doing the correct thing for you. Mars is going to come through right now and say, right, this isn't for me, gone. This isn't for me, gone. It's not even that you have a choice on some level now, because you choosing the Ace of Cups, you choosing to leave behind the misfortune, leave behind the lower vibes, leave behind certain things. It's not that you have the clarity of it right now. You probably won't have a lot of clarity right now. It's just a matter of, this isn't for you, therefore gone. This isn't for you, therefore gone. It's like the universe is doing the sorting for you. So if you haven't been doing the sorting, it's going to sort for you. Or you're going to be holding on to something and you'll get dragged on that wheel or off the wheel. Which one do you want? If you stay on the wheel, enjoy the wheel. If you don't enjoy the wheel, get off the wheel. Look to that cup. What is that cup? That cup is liberation. That cup is filled with love. That cup is filled with self-respect. That cup is filled with claiming dignity back. That cup is filled with your integrity. That cup is filled with everything that you need to fuel a healthy you. That cup is healthy boundaries. That cup is basically, that is where your protection comes from. When you love yourself, you respect yourself in a particular way, you're automatically going to make sure that you have certain boundaries in place. You're going to make sure that people can't take you for granted. You're going to make sure that when someone says they're going to do something, they do it. Or you're not a part of this. I simply can't trust your word. You say one thing, you do another. Can't do it. I'm not doing it. Ten of Cups. There we go. That was difficult to get to. That was really difficult to get to. I could feel the strength that had to be put in to keep going that way, keep going that way, keep going that way. You'll get distracted. You'll get little hamsters coming off the wheel to tell you, come onto my wheel. This is a great, fantastic wheel. Little hamster, I don't want your wheel. Thanks very much. You go and enjoy your wheel. I'm going somewhere else. I'm seeing little hamsters with wheel. I don't know. Cute, but not for me. Aww. So the cup is your Ten of Cups. That's part of your Ten of Cups. Let that crap go. Let that nonsense, just let it. Actually, on some level, you don't even have a choice anymore. As long as you're heading towards what is for my higher good, that's it. That's it. What am I feeling good about? What am I enthused about? What is for my higher good? Head in that direction. The whys have gone. We know that for now. For this level, for this stage of the process, the whys, there's no why. There's no why they do these. Why did they do that? Don't care. Don't know. Don't need to know. Why they're still on that hamster wheel, we don't need to know. Unless you understand that hamster wheel with them. But I have a feeling if you're watching the reading, you're not going to be wanting to stay on that hamster wheel with them anyway. Right, we're going to get another card here. Let it go. Protection. Conserve what you have. Save a little. So this is when you didn't. This the memories are going to come up from this. It's going to spark enthusiasm. It's going to spark, that's not where I'm going. When I went on the hamster wheel, that's what ended up happening. I'm not going on that hamster wheel. Go and enjoy your hamster wheel. No problem with that. Just, I'm not going on the hamster wheel. So I'm going to leave that there. We're going to do Divine Masculine reading now. So, your January 2024 readings are up. Different playlists for each sign. And so, for now, peace and love.